Hello, I'm Tom Bankston, Artistic Director of Dayton Opera in the Dayton Performing Arts Alliance, and I'd like to welcome you to this new edition of Dayton Opera's Opera Talks with Tom and Friends. I'm so pleased to have with me today two of my friends and friends of Dayton Opera. First, our recently appointed Artistic Director Designate, Kathleen Clawson, and the fantastic artist and baritone Norman Garrett, who will be singing the title role in our upcoming production of Don Giovanni on February 27th. Before we get into our conversation, let's hear a thrilling excerpt from Norman's debut performance of the role of Johanna in Richard Strauss's Salome from Dayton Opera's May 2019 production. I'm pleased to be here today with my good friends, Kathleen Clawson, the Artistic Director Designate of Dayton Opera, and the wonderful baritone Norman Garrett. Norman is about to sing his premiere of Don Giovanni, a role that I'm sure he's probably wanted to do for some time, and we hope
Oh,
anyway.
yes.
and um, we're very pleased also that for you to have been able to hear a little bit of his Yokanahan, which we had the pleasure of hearing a couple of seasons ago. So we're here today to talk about um, the fact that you're doing Don Giovanni for the first time, and how are you feeling about that? How does one prepare for a role like that in the pandemic when that you can't get together with the coach? I mean, so
Well, funny you said that. It's been very introspective, which it shouldn't be because I've been learning it on my own. All the coaches that I know here in Philadelphia are all involved in their schools. They don't have their vaccine shots. And apparently, with the lag, it's really difficult to do any coachings in the first place because, you're singing and they're playing at a different time. And it's been a very interesting perspective. I mean, if my passion for wanting to do this role is what got it done, I with all the unsurety of like things that got canceled and all this stuff, it was just like once I got that email from you guys last year, like last fall, saying that we're definitely going forward with this, I immediately jumped into the role. Um, but I'm very excited to be doing it. It's one of my I want to say like one of my top 5 roles that I've always wanted to do. And I think it's only one of the top 5 roles that I've ever actually gotten a chance to accomplish. It feels really, I don't know, empowering to know that even though amidst all this drama and all of this, like, all the cancellations and the bad with the COVID-19 outbreak, that I'm still able to like bring some art on the stage finally. And not only do that, but do it in a role that it's been a dream role of mine for a long time. So
Great, great.
I'm feeling very good.
You know, I was going to say, Tom, I'm proud of Dayton Opera for saying we're going to make this happen. No matter
Right.
what, we're going to find a safe way to protect the musicians, all of the artists, everybody involved, and continue our mission to transform lives through the power of music. And I'm so excited that everybody's going to get to hear you do your debut in Dayton, because they'll be able to tell their friends.
Yes.
I heard his Giovanni debut.
Right. And Norman and I had talked just a minute, a week or so ago about the. I was looking at the history of Giovanni's in the opera world, and saw a list of famous Giovannis, but no black artists or very few in the
Right.
realm of singing the title role. The Perry brothers did that funky Peter Sellers production a few years back, where one of the twin brothers, that one was Don Giovanni and one was Leporello, and which must have been interesting. Um, uh, but um, but do you have any perspective on that about here we are in Black History Month, and that in that important month that you're doing your first Don Giovanni as a black artist. How do you feel about that? I mean, go ahead. Sorry, I'll
I
stop.
mean, as we all know, there are plenty of black in history. There have been plenty of African American black baritone, bass baritones who could sing Don Giovanni and have sung it. I actually, God rest his soul, I shared a dressing room at the Met last season with for Porgy and Bess with Arthur Woodley,
Oh, right.
who a legendary singer. And sharing the dressing room with him, I learned a little bit of stuff about his life. And one of the things he said was, I think it was in this the early 80s or the late 70s, that he was in France and he was the first black Don Giovanni in the whole country that the country had ever seen. And it made me reflect. And then I was like, well, what about in America? Who are the black Don Giovannis that I have not heard of, not seen, or, I don't even know about? And the number is very, very, very small. And I think it's just one of those things where there's not very many of us out right now, but there have been in the past. I feel like now with everything on hold, okay, sure. But I've always found it interesting that any of these lead roles, at these opera houses, you can think of, 4 or 5 very prominent black singers who can and could sing them. I'm specifically talking about baritones, and it just it doesn't happen for them. And I mean, I think about black sopranos, the black mezzos, the black tenors, they tend to break through those barriers, the invisible barrier that obviously there's something there preventing that from happening on the regular. But I've found that the other 3 voice parts, they tend to be able to break through that barrier more easily than the black baritone. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure how it happens, but it's definitely a thing.
Well, I'm really hoping, Norman, that people are waking up and are learning from the current movement that we all need to to look at our part in not making that happen. You know,
Right.
and making sure that opera is equitable. It just has to be.
Right.
Just has to be, and it's on all of us as stage directors, as artistic administrators, as opera patrons, as opera lovers. It's on all of us to work towards a more equitable profession.
I mean, and
Yes, it is.
I think it's interesting to note that the second role that you're doing with Dayton Opera is sort of groundbreaking. Yoganan is not a role that Black artists have essayed very often. I mean,
No.
there's, with the text that with her referring to your
Skin
uh,
is white.
your skin, your white skin.
Yeah.
It just reinforces the fact how that we must become colorblind with regards to things like that, and
Right. Use
if
your imagination. Like I
Right?
don't.
Is it real? I feel like saying, is this real? Is what people are singing instead of talking?
yeah,
So,
Right.
is this the real world? Come on, people, have some
Right.
imagination.
Right. Well, like when I play an Escamillo, I mean, do I have to be, from Spain? You know what I'm saying?
no,
Like,
Right,
I
exactly.
don't, it doesn't matter then. And I feel like, I don't know about America versus Europe, but Europe is completely different. But I do feel like in America, there's definitely more sense of the audience gets it type situation where you can have someone of color in a role that's definitely historically not portrayed as someone that's black. You can do that here in America more so than in Europe for
I
sure.
think so.
And but Europe is changing a little bit too. I know a lot of black prominent singers that are doing roles over there as well that really reflect that they're just amazing singers. So I feel like there has been and there will continue to be progress, but I just want everyone to stay proactive with it. I don't want it to be just like a flare up and the black artists on the stage showing their voices and doing good work, and then 10 years later from now it's like, oh, remember when everyone cared for a little bit? I don't want it to become that at
We,
all.
we have to keep remembering and keep working. For one thing, I personally believe I've always felt like the stage should look like the world in
Right.
every way. We should be in shapes and sizes and races, and everyone should be represented. Um, and
and music is the big equalizer.
Right.
it should be. And
Yeah.
also that if we want to continue to engage, oh, that's too puppy. If we want to, you should, yeah. If we want to continue to have the art form survive and thrive, our audiences have to see themselves on stage and have to imagine themselves.
Right.
And uh, we've been talking about, all our as we refer to it now as inherited repertoire, the standard repertoire. But we also have to find a way to make sure that everyone's stories are being told, that that everyone's experience is part of the opera canon. So I'm excited about a lot of the contemporary works that are being written. And I'm hoping that, I just saw a video with Will Liverman's piece, The Factotum. Have you?
Yes,
Oh my goodness.
Lord.
I think that that's going to be amazing, and
I do too.
I'm hoping that that's a real sort of shift in sort of genre bending, and it's like, look what a fully sung story can do. Let's
Right.
let's just redefine opera.
You might want to tell our audience a little bit about
Oh yeah.
the fact
Well, first of all, just go on the YouTube and check it out. It's The Factotum, and it's a new piece by Will Liverman, a fabulous black baritone that I've worked with in Santa Fe. That is a reimagining of the story of the Barber of Seville in a black barbershop, and I tell you, it just made me happy. I,
Right.
I texted Will. I said I had a really sad day, and I listened to you, and it made me happy. So
Right. Right. And I shout out to Chicago for, helping all that stuff come to life. And I think again, that's another step that companies are starting to take that they would never take, 5 or 6, 7 years ago. I feel like that being them completely endorsing that project is a huge, huge deal in so many ways, and it shows some serious progress that I can actually is tangible progress, in my opinion.
well,
Um,
it's one of these weird things I think about the pandemic. My life's goal is to um, everything is as it should be, and and that's my mantra. And then every day I'm presented with some horrible thing for me to try to figure out how I could be gaining something from this. So the time that we've all been given in this weird world we're living in can can be a time for reflection, which I hope it is certainly has been for me, and a time of creativity and a time of rethinking about sort of resetting what what do I want to do with my time here on earth, and what's important, and what do I want to do with this art form that I love. How can I use whatever power, whatever influence I have to make it better? And I'm seeing that, and I'm telling
I am
you,
too.
I'm making a promise to you that I'm not going to let this be just a moment in time.
It's very reassuring to hear. To be honest, there's been so many doubts. We've all had our doubts from this past year, and it not. I like I said earlier, it feels good that it's going forward with the musical aspect, and it's going forward by inclusivity and the like the elitist opera attitude. I feel like is hopefully starting to kind of fade away, because when I like you said, people's stories aren't being told. When I talk to Black people, my people, African Americans about opera, they always just picture some like really rich white person in the audience with like their tuxedo on, and that they're not invited. You know, that feel.
Yeah,
And I feel like me being on the stage is a gateway and a key and a gateway for them to get into the opera house and feel welcome.
yep,
You
absolutely.
know, I think it's like a tiered process. You want diverse audiences, more diverse audiences. What's on the stage is going to have to be more diverse as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. You said something about 5 roles that were on your wish list. I want,
Yes.
I want to know what else is on that list. I'm just curious. You piqued my
My
curiosity.
5 role. Well, my number one is Michele from Il Tavaro. I mean, come on. The music
Wow.
is fabulous. The story is so dramatic. It's just, and it's all compacted into that hour, 15 minute.
So
Wow.
I would have totally have not won that bet. That was your first. So
Yeah, it's my favorite opera. So
wow.
it is my favorite opera. It's the most dramatic, action packed, like, you know, in my opinion, that Puccini has put together. It's just like it's got the drama, it's got the murders, it's got the darkness, it's just everything that I want. As a baritone, I can just picture someone doing the claw to it. It's like it's just right.
I think
Uh,
I think it's also another reason for the dynamic duo of Arisha Thompson and Norman Norman Garrett to come get back together. I mean, again, she would sing an amazing
yes, she would.
Georgetta.
Yes,
Georgetta.
she would. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
God, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it on
I
my
don't mean
list.
to I don't mean to cast your future season, Kathleen, but
Yeah,
However,
that's on
there we go.
there.
By request. What else?
Uh, I love the music for Macbeth. I think I'm too young to sing Macbeth, but I love Macbeth.
Yep.
I would kill to sing Macbeth. I actually, when I was at Washington, I
It's a
worked
little
with
Macbeth joke.
when I worked with Louis Salimno, who was the coach there when I was there, and he was like, "I want you to learn Macbeth." And I was like, what? And he was like, do it. Trust me. One day, that's what you're going to be singing. So, I got started on it and I just fell in love with that music because I didn't know it at all. It's only done by really large houses and it's not done very frequently. So actually, I take that back. The first time I saw Macbeth was at Dayton when I was in grad school at CCM.
With Lester.
And
Lynch.
guess who was Lester Lynch sang his face off. And I was like, and again, I felt as a guest in the audience, I felt so safe, that like so good being there and welcome being there, seeing him on the stage singing so amazingly in a role that's so iconic. So that was really cool.
I have tears in my eyes. That's great.
Yeah.
Great. I'll get back to the 5 another time,
Okay.
but I'm curious, do you remember the first opera you saw?
I do.
What was it?
The first opera I saw that I wasn't in
Yes.
was a Tosca at Austin Lyric Opera when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Texas Tech and I drove down to Austin to see some family. And while I was there, I had to see my first opera. I think someone got me tickets as like my birthday present or something like that. And that was the first opera I ever saw on stage that I wasn't in, being, because there's no opera in Lubbock except for at the music school. And I kind of remember being like, these singers were on a whole nother level. I was an undergrad and I was like, oh, I have a long way to go.
Well, so you had
But it was
never,
Tosca.
how did you happen into opera? How did this happen for you?
Not directly. So I got accepted into Texas Tech. I'm from Lubbock, and I got accepted into Texas Tech to be in their choral program. In Texas, choral stuff is like this really big, like basically a gang mafia, the choral mafia, we'll call it. I did like all state choir and all that stuff, and I got accepted into Texas Tech as a choral singer, and they gave me a very small scholarship, and it wasn't big enough for me. And I'd also applied as UT, and they wouldn't allow me in that year. That was at the time where they were so packed that they were like, "We'll let you in the next season. You're not season, the next year." So UT had accepted me in the next year, and I was like, "Well, I'll go to Tech and take my basics, take my calculus 1 and 2 and 3 or whatever, and then transfer to UT." That didn't happen. I never transferred, and because I was, sorry to be clear, I was an engineering major.
Well, I heard you talking about taking calculus, and I thought,
right,
wow,
right. I was.
I'm glad I went to a different music school. Didn't require me to take calculus. That's good.
Yeah, I was accepted to UT, so I was going to take my basics at Tech, and then that was my big plan. And then we did a Brahms Requiem with the entire school, and now that being one of my favorite works, with orchestra. I had never sung anything with orchestra. I never sung anything in such a huge choir. And I remember in the second movement, I was like, I'm not gonna go to UT. I'm gonna keep doing this, because I actually felt something from music that I never felt before, with that large, grand, like powerful, like oof. The second movement is just like taffy and like yeah. That's how I got into opera. That sudden shift happened the latter part of my freshman year, where I was like, okay, engineering, bye. Even though I had known I wanted to be an engineer since I was 5 years old. You asked me, I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. That's all I wanted.
Well, we're grateful to Texas Tech for giving you that experience, because there you go. The opera world would be not as rich a place without you in it.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
And
Yeah,
we in Dayton are so grateful to have had the experiences just beginning, I'm hoping, with having you premiere roles with us.
Amen.
There you go.
It feels good. It really does. It feels nice. I mean, the Yohanahan, again, the Yohanahan, I was like, this music is so incredible. I never forget when Tom asked me about it, and I was like, let me look at that for a second. And I started listening to it, and I've heard all these recordings of these amazing singers. I was like, Yeah. Yes, I want to do this.
Neil Gittleman, who conducted that Salome,
Oh, he's the man.
got the excerpt together for us of you singing the Okanahan, and he said I was going through that, and he said, that was damn good.
Hey. All right,
And
Neil.
I will second that emotion.
Absolutely. So Norman, I'm curious. We start rehearsals here in just a couple weeks. Will this be the first time that you've made music with other singers? Well, not
In
counting
in
your wife, of course.
in America, yes. I went to Europe and sang in Vienna in September and
Mhm,
October. So I did do a show there when everything was dead over here. But
mhm.
this is my first time doing stuff with singers in America in almost a year. So
It's I mean, truly, I've been the same way. It's like, well, it was a year ago that I directed my last piece in Dayton, and we're all just so eager to get back and do what it is that we love,
yes,
do
it's so
together.
surreal. I know
And
when I get there, I'm gonna be
we're so
like,
excited that we're welcoming audiences safely back into the theater, that beautiful Schuster Theater in
oh,
Dayton.
I love the
So
stars.
it's, yeah, with the stars.
Yeah, I
So
love.
yeah, so excited to have you with us, and looking forward to seeing it. Right?
Yes.
And it will be a new and interesting experience, I think, for our audience too. This sort of condensed, we're calling this Don Giovanni essential opera. It's we're putting out the essential part of this piece. I mean, you hate to cut any of it, but we had to do what we had to do. But
Right.
we're very excited about this concept, and that the audience will enjoy it and be thrilled by it also. So thank you, Norman, for being with us here today. Thank you, Kathleen, and
Yes.
we'll hope to see everyone on February the 27th. There are two performances on that day, one at 3 p.m., one at 8 p.m., and it should be a wonderful experience for everyone. And join us next time. I'm not sure when that'll be, but when my next Tom's Talk, Opera Talk with Tom and friends. And thanks again to these two friends for helping me with this episode. Sorry. Bye.
Bye bye, y'all. Thanks for having me.